Our last presentation today is Chris Placitella. He's going to talk about the visual aspects of these projects. What we were originally told as elected officials is not what this looks like. He's going to present some information, some good visuals that's going to give you a better idea. When we saw this presentation in Brigantine, it really opened people's eyes. I'm going to turn it over to Chris.
Thank you very much. So, I said this in Brigantine, it probably applies more now. I'm a lawyer, that's my first disclaimer. I'll get to that in a second. So I have a number of disclaimers because that's what lawyers do when they start. Disclaimer number one, I'm a lifelong Democrat. Okay. I applaud the legislators who have come out here, who speak passionately about the things that they believe in. I've spoken to Democratic leadership as well in the Senate and the Assembly. They don't want this either, okay? If we're gonna make this a partisan issue, we are going to lose. We have to stick together. We don't need name calling. We don't need to be making fun of people. This is serious stuff. We all have to be on this same page all the way. So that's disclaimer number one. Disclaimer number two, I'm for green energy. I drove an electric car here, okay? Disclaimer number three, I'm a trial lawyer, all right? It's what I do every day. Now, the interesting thing about green energy, when somebody went to the New Jersey Globe and said, you need to talk to Placitella about these issues, the response from the wind industry apparently was, well, he's getting his money from Big Oil. I said, that's funny because I sue Big Oil. So let's start with the first slide. Will this project destroy the shore? Now, why do I have this slide here? Well, when I was a young boy, when the dinosaurs ruled the earth, I would go up and down the turnpike with my father, and then it was even worse. It was black smoke, and I would say, Dad, this is terrible. What's going on here? He said, don't worry, son. The turnpike's there to keep everybody out of New Jersey so we can enjoy the shore together. Now, the problem is that they now want to bring the turnpike to the shore, right? That's what we want to stop. So when this all started, maybe 8 or 9 months ago, and Dr. Bob, unbelievable, you don't know how much time he puts in on this, I start seeing these signs around Long Beach Island, where I have a house. And the sign said, move them out. I'm like, move what out? What are we talking about? And I called people who I thought would know in government, and I said, let's just move them out. What's this stuff going on with these turbines? And they said, don't worry, Chris, it will just be a speck on the horizon. I said, okay, well, give me something to read. What are you relying upon? What are you relying upon for the statement that there'll be specks on the horizon? Next slide. They said, well, here's the report. So they sent me the report. It happened to be the report from Atlantic Shores. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be bad. Okay. The report's 4,000 pages. They said, well, no one's gonna read this damn report. Well, as a lawyer, this is what I do. I read reports. Okay. So I read the 4,000 pages, just like I would be preparing for a trial. And this is what I found in the report. The truth is actually in the report, right? This report, if you actually read it, you don't have to go to the fine print, I will show you, right? This report, it's like a lawyer wrote the report. There's disclaimers all over the report. And you know what the report basically says? At its bottom, at least for the issues one of the issues we care about, when this is all up, don't come back to us and tell us we didn't tell you. because it's in here. You just have to look at page 3,473, and it's in there. All right, so next slide. The report will tell you, you've heard this before, there's 357 turbines, 1,000 feet tall, that will cover about 65% of our coastline. Next slide. Next. And this is just a visual, you've seen it before, but just think about this. I don't know if some of you have been to DC lately. A single turbine is twice the height of the Washington Monument. Okay? So it's one thing to think about the Eiffel Tower, that's far away. You're talking about one turbine, twice the height of the Washington Monument. Next. So I looked at the report and they said, well, they actually went and they did visual simulations of what it will look like. And they said they went to important historic sites that will be representative of typical views up and down the coast. This is in their report. Right? Next. And what they did was they went through and they said, okay, let's mark all the places you will actually see these turbines up and down the coast. And what they did is they took representative samples, right? They went to different spots and did analysis of what it would look like. So what I did is I took the report, and these are my marks, by the way. And by the way, I actually hired a jury consultant to help me put this together, right? The jury consultant, by the way, from Magna lives in Margate, okay? So, and he did this for free, right? But what we did is he helped me chart all the spots that are actually in the report. Next. And it says, in the report, there will be high magnitude of visual change with adverse visual impacts. Next. So we start to keep charting it. Next. It says there will be potential blade visibility for the majority, not only of the beaches, but the inland waterways. Next. Next. We'll go back one. So what they did is, and this is actually an amazing slide, right? What they did is they had a spreadsheet of all the places they looked at. And they actually did an analysis of how many turbines you will see from each spot, right? That's what this is. I just took the spreadsheet and I sorted it by county. And for this presentation, I was concentrating on down here. So this just shows you up and down the coast how many turbines you will see from each spot. So for example here, 200, 200. All the way in when you go over the bridge on the other side coming in Atlantic City, 123. Okay, next. So, and then what they did is they actually have a map, and you have to look at it and analyze it. They actually have a map that talks about how far inland you will see the turbines. Not while you're sitting on the beach in Margate, but how far inland, right? Here's Atlantic City. You see where it says, see all that, this color? Well, way past Atlantic City, you're going to see the blades, the tips, the lights, the tower are all potentially visible. Next. Then they said, well, let's do another analysis. Let's look at what the next lease area. This is coming to a theater near you. This is LBI. This is what's going on now. Okay? And they said, let's see just the turbine blades. Right? We're not going to look just at the pole. How far will you see the turbine blades? How far in? Right? And see all that purple? That's how far in to the coastline, right, that you will see these turbines. I'm not making this up. This is in the report. You just have to look on page 782.5. Okay, next. Next. So we took a chart. Now this is not in the report. We took a scale and we said, okay, this is where the turbines are planned for. How far out is that? And you can see, like for Margate, I think it's like 13.8 miles. And how far out can you see the turbines, right? Why do I say 40 miles? Because next, the report says the turbines are going to be visible up to 40 miles. Okay, so is there any doubt you're going to see the turbines? This is in the report. Next. Oh, so then there's another chart. I don't know, it's on page 780. By the way, I'm making these numbers up. All right, lawyer can't always be exactly accurate. But it's on some page. Let's call it 787. And this chart shows what 40 miles looks like from the center point in this project. Okay? How far will you see these turbines? If you look at the 40-mile mark from the turbine's interior, you're way on the other side of the Mullica River. Okay? And if you go all the way up for the next phase and you count 40 miles, you're probably somewhere near Belmar. Okay? So 40 miles is a long way. So you say, well, why don't you just put them out at 40 miles like they do in Europe? Right? You know these companies that are here putting these turbines in our backyard? They're not allowed to do that in Europe. Next. Oh, so I just drew, that's my line, not their line, just to give you an idea if you were looking straight out from Margate to the turbines, how far behind you you could potentially see these turbines. Next. Next. They say in the report, the turbines will cause adverse visual impacts I wrote in multiple locations. Next. The navigation lights at night, quote, will become the focus of the viewer attention and could change the character of the nighttime skies forever. Next. So then what they did is they actually tracked these visually sensitive areas, the things we care about, our parks, our historic areas. Where could those turbines potentially impact visually? And they had a chart. And I went through the chart, because that's what we do. And there were 87 environmental and justice areas, 43 national historic places, 18, although 43 were eligible, sorry, 18 national, 16 wildlife management, and 12 historic preserve areas. Next. Oh, to be fair, page 122, I have it. Page 122, they actually, and I want, just to be fair, they actually have a page that talks about what the mitigation factors are. In other words, what could make the turbines less visible? Right, so let's be fair and let's talk about that first. Next. Well, one good thing is they'll all be white, so you won't see them so bad. All right. Second. Next. We could relocate them. We're not going to do that. Next. We could make them shorter. We're not going to do that either. So I guess we just have to count on the fact that some days it'll be cloudy and it'll be white. All right, next. So then they actually did a simulation of what it will actually look like up and down the coast. And in this presentation, so I don't put everybody to sleep, I just concentrated on the southern portion of what this would be, right? And next. They say, for example, in the Townsend Inlet, which is a little south of here, the turbines will look like they're stacked one after the other, appearing like one massive turbine with multiple blades and industrialized offshore. That's in their report. Next. Gillian's Pier. What's it going to look like? Next. It will become the major focus of viewer attention. No one will be looking at the Ferris wheel anymore. Next. Next. It will produce low to moderate scenic quality. Next. Now, this is, I wish it was a little clearer, but this will be the view from the Wonderland Pier. And if you were up closer, and I'll put these up on the internet, I promise, you will see the fence of turbines that you'll see from the pier. And by no means is the pier the worst, by the way. I'm starting from the best. Next. Then, I'm digging on the internet and said, there's something missing. Where is this? So I actually found on the internet, somebody forgot, I guess from Atlantic Shores, to take it off, I don't know. I actually found a short video on the internet, I believe produced by Atlantic Shores, about what will happen to Margate and what it will look like at sunrise. So can we play that, please? It won't play? Hit the next. Just hit the next, just hit next. Go ahead, hit next. All right, so I'll put the video up. The video actually shows the sun coming up and the turbines, pretty incredible. So then they went to the Lucy Elephant and they said, well, if we get off the beach and we're just taking a look from the Lucy Elephant, are we going to see the turbines? That's the question, right? Next. They say, oh, it will become a significant draw of viewer attention. Next. Next. And it says, the view from the Lucy Evelyn will be dominated with a fence-like visual barrier. Next. Hit next. The addition of a massive wind farm on the horizon, again, further industrializes the existing view. They are massive in scale and in number. If that doesn't scare the shit out of you, I don't know what will. Okay, next. This is the view from the Lucy Evelyn. In their report, I think, by the way, it's in the appendix. You have to actually go to the appendix. Right? Then they went to the Ocean Casino Resort. Right? Next. And they said again, the view will be dominated by a large and highly visible array of turbines. Next. Next. It will change viewers' perception of the ocean as pristine. Next. This is the view on a cloudy day from the Ocean Casino Resort. You probably can see it better up there. I promise I'll have it up on the internet in less than a week because it's startling that this is what it looks like in the morning on a cloudy day. The best you're going to see. Next. And what you can't see here is this is what it will look like at night, and if you actually saw it on a screen, you'd see just red dots all the way across. That's what it'll look like at night. Next. What it will be for the tens of thousands of people that go to the Atlantic City Convention Center. Next. The turbines will be visually dominant. Next. Next. They will dominate the ocean view. Next. This is what it's going to look like from the Atlantic City Convention Center. Next. Next slide, please. This they actually show, this one you can actually see. I did get this one off the internet too. They forgot to take it down. This is a view of Atlantic City on the beach on a typical day. And you can actually see the turbines rotating around. Next. Okay, then we go to Brigantine, 9 miles. Remember 40 miles? 9 miles from the closest turbine. Next. They say the view will be dominated by a large and highly visible array of turbines. You see how they're getting the language down? Next. Next. The ocean view will be changed from undeveloped to substantially developed. Oh God, Dad, you mean the Jersey Turnpike is really in Brigantine? Next. Next. There will be an industrialized intrusion of a massive wind farm. The New Jersey Turnpike, at its worst, will be in our face every day. Next. Next. The beach will be transformed by the intrusion of an industrial utility. Next. This is 9 miles to the turbines in Brigantine. I'm going to just say one thing. Mayor Sarah, he has been awesome. This is not a partisan issue, and if you listen to him, he tries not to make it a partisan issue. And the same thing with the Assemblywoman, right? They see the big picture. And the fact that he comes out day after day, week after week, fighting this, that's what we need. The only thing I would say that I was concerned about, when he was standing up here, I'm like, God, I hope this guy's not a defense lawyer. Because he's really good. So I don't want to see him in court. All right. So, but this is a video. Could you just click it? Maybe it'll turn. Yeah, this is a video simulation of what it will look like in Brigantine. Next. So then we say, well, how far in are we going to see these things? Suppose I'm a boater and I'm on the interior bays, or I don't really care. I don't go to the beach, but I love to be in a boat. I can just go up and down the boat, and life will be grand. What happens for the people who are even on the other side of the interior bay? What are they going to see? Next. They say, well, if you're at the Rutgers Field Station, which is actually on the mainland, the turbines will be large and become the focal points of view. Next. Next. And they say the view again will be radically changed, and it will industrialize, be unsettling. This is in their report. Now, did anybody read this report before this all started? Did anybody read this report? Next. Next. They say the only way you can't look at the turbines is you got to turn your back. Right? That's the only way you will not see the turbines all the way from the other side of the bay. You have to turn your back and look the other way. Next. This is 1.5 miles in from the beach. That's what the turbines look like. from the bay. Next. Now, again, the turbines are visible up to 40 miles. Next. 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 This would be what Long Beach Island's going to look like after phase 2. Next. So, the question is, will the Atlantic Shores wind turbine project destroy the Jersey Shore? Yes. My dad, God bless him, is 96 years old. I just can't imagine, he's lived at the beach his whole life. I can't imagine what this is going to do to him. Next. You will see the turbines from the beaches, from the bays and rivers, and from the mainland. Next. Now, it's interesting. I was preparing for another presentation, and I went to the New Jersey tourism put out by the New Jersey state government website. I said, well, what do they say about the Jersey Shore? Well, this is what I concluded. They're going to have to rewrite the entire website once these turbines are built, because the website is full of come to New Jersey, see our pristine beaches, enjoy the view, have a different life, get away from it all, don't be on the turnpike. I mean, our website is full of it, page after page after page. I guess somebody better start working, because in about, X number of months or years, that whole website's gonna have to come down, right? And people say, and I've heard valid comments this morning about what's it gonna do to our utility bills. Yeah, think about this. If people aren't renting, and they did surveys, Save LBI actually did a survey about what it would do to rental income, but let's say it cuts the value of a home along the Jersey Shore, let's be generous, by 20%, and it's probably more, but let's say it cuts your property values by 20%. Well, what are we using the property values for? We're paying for our schools, right? So where are we going to get the money to fund the schools at the same level that they're being funded now? We're going to have to raise everybody's taxes? So not only are you going to have to pay more, apparently, for your electric bill, right? And I guess it's going to cost me more for my electric car. But not only are you going to have to pay more for your electric bill, but there are downstream consequences to this. Lower property values, rental, all of the jobs that are on the line, seasonal jobs on the line. And then what does it do to the funding of our educational system for Cape May, Atlantic, Ocean, Monmouth County? Next. So here's the troubling part. There's plenty of lease areas out there, apparently, that are beyond 40 miles. But they're a little more expensive, apparently. But guess what? Did you know that New York didn't want these things anywhere near them? So they're coming off the Jersey coast, and New York got the rights to the far off. Right? I mean, there's still stuff out there we could use, but it's not going to happen without political pressure. Right? Next. All these areas, they're beyond 40 miles. They're not visible from the shoreline. So, this is the Margate beach if nothing happens. We will be home of the largest, most visible wind turbine complex in the entire world. That is not hyperbole. By the way, This is not written in the report, that's me. Okay, but it's a fact. That's where we are. Next. Next. So, again, what can you do? Well, now I have 2 jobs. I'm working in my profession during the day. I cheat a little bit, I do a little of this to my partners. I work in my profession all the day, in court, taking depositions, probably reading some reports, right? And at night, this is my second job, like a number of other people here. But this is not going to change unless everybody gets in. And if you walk out, you say, oh, that was terrible. And God, I had to listen to the lawyer, the last thing, shoot me, right? But if you're gonna go out and not make a phone call, not write a letter, not send an email, you can go on the internet, you can look up New Jersey legislature on the internet, and if you don't know who your assembly people are, because not everybody's obviously from Margate all the time, it will tell you who your assembly people are, who your senators are. It'll give you a click through and you can just send them an email, or you can pick up the phone. But if you don't do it, we're gonna lose. So we have to be in this together. This is not a Democrat-Republican issue, respectfully. This is about preserving our most precious natural resource, something that we all, this is our peace. This is where we go when we're stressed. My son had a serious operation a number of years ago, and he's in a hospital, and I said, what are you thinking about? He said, just thinking about getting the LBI, Dad. And I know a lot of people feel that way. So join the fight.